Travel is more than just ticking off countries. It's about the people, the culture, the food, the moments. I'm Pippa Hudson, and on Wonder the World, I invite you to join me every week as we explore destinations both near and far, with the help of fellow adventurers who share their unique travel stories. Listen to my podcast wherever you get them.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
So thousands of former gold miners, many battling serious lung diseases like silicosis and tuberculosis, are still waiting for the compensation they were promised years after applying to the Tshidi Trust. These workers and their families are holding on to hope, but time is running out for some. The trust was created as part of a major class action settlement meant to compensate those who toiled in South Africa's gold mines and were exposed to harmful silica dust. It's not just South Africans who are affected. The settlement extends across the SADC region and covers miners who worked anytime between 1965 and 2019. So we're trying to still find answers to this particular frustration. I'm joined now on the line for this story by Ziyanda Manjati, a Justice for Ministers Eastern Cape chapter leader. Ziyanda, good morning. Welcome to Radio 702 and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I say there that, that these are people who've applied to the Tshidi Trust. I don't give great detail about the trust. Can you talk us back through what the Tshidi Trust is about and who exactly it's meant to benefit?
Tshidi Trust was established just to make sure that they do the payouts for the beneficiaries, claimants, widows and the beneficiaries of gold ex-mineworkers. The people who contracted silicosis back in 1965. It was established, I think, in 2019, but started to work in 2020 due to COVID. They were meant to do those payouts from the money from the mining companies, the 6 mining companies that made the settlement with the lawyers, Richard Spoor attorneys and other lawyers. So their responsibility is to make sure that the 5 billion rand, that was the agreement, out of settlement from the court, they are being busy paying that money to these claimants, those that are affected, whether they have passed away or they are living claimants.
Why is it taking so long for many of them to still get their money from the Tshidi Trust?
There's a lot of issues around, but mainly I think the issue of Tshidi Trust not being responsible. They are just trying to make sure that there are delays, more especially when it comes to the mining houses, because mining houses are also part of the trustees in the trust board of trustees. But now the issues that they are always complaining about is that they are being bound by the trust deed. The trust deed is the one that was drafted when they did this settlement. Now the trust deed is not in favor of these potential claimants or the beneficiaries of the trust. So each and every time there's something that is making sure, there's something that is a stumbling block when it comes to these affected people, whether we are talking about MBOD certificate or talking about medical certificates that are not accessible from the mines or from the people. So there are a lot of things that are making Tshidi Trust not to pay these people on time. But now what we have tried to do is that as the Justice for Miners, we have advised them to make some of the amendments. Now that the trust deed is not in favor of these claimants, how about they do some of the amendments? Yes, they have managed to do some of the amendments to the trust, but a lot of the amendments still needs to be done so that the people can unlock the money.
That also speaks to me about the scale, how big a task this actually is. Do you feel that they need to bring in additional resources to help them get the job done, even in dealing with the amendments that you're raising now, to try and get them to move a little bit faster with a bit more urgency? Because people are dying while they wait, I imagine. Are you finding that it might be too broad, too big a task for the Tshidi Trust?
Yes, it is a big task for them. That's why most of the civil societies like Justice for Miners and others, like unions and other people, have tried to intervene not because they want CMSO Trust to pay them back the money for their services, but just to be involved so that the process can go smoothly and people can be paid as in yesterday. But now what they have been doing for back in 2019, 2020 when they started to operate, they have been closing the doors for those civil societies that want to be involved in this. So if they can open those doors, broaden up, and make sure that people that are willing to assist the ex-mine workers, I'm sure within no time they can just make a lot of payments. For instance, in their statement with Sunday World, they said they have only paid 22,634 claimants out of thousands of claimants, and their statement is like, no, it is difficult for us to unlock or to get hold of the potential claimant. How is it possible that a trust fund that was meant to pay the money of the beneficiaries not have a proper plan to go and unlock or to go and find those people on the ground? We have been working with these people for years. We know where they are. There are civil societies on the ground that can make this happen, but CMSO Trust and the mining houses are just refusing to do the right thing.
What recourse do you all have? The civil organizations that are attempting to help but are being pushed away. Is there another avenue where you can force the trust's hand?
We have tried to contact some authorities using the lawyers, the Master of the High Court, but even the Master of the High Court did not help us that much, because we have tried to unpack the issues at hand, to say these are the issues that are making the delays, and CMSO Trust is not willing to listen or change their system so that people can be paid. But the Master of the High Court did not help us as Justice for Minors. The only thing that they did was because CMSO Trust at the time wanted to add a new trustee. So they sent a letter to CMSO Trust to say, before we can agree with this issue of changing the trustee, you need to respond to these issues from Justice for Minors. Up until now, we haven't had anything from the High Court, because the decision was taken by the High Court to say CMSO Trust must do this work. That's why we ended up going back to the High Court to say, we as the civil societies, we are not happy with the work that this trust is doing. They need to intervene. Even the government officials who have tried to speak with several institutions, but none of them are willing also to open their doors or even listen and assist these ex-mine workers. That's why we are feeling now the time is running out, people are dying, and we feel as Justice for Minors like the 5 billion rand, now that they have paid 2.4, is 2 billion and 14, I think. The 5 billion rand is going back, or some of that money is going back to the mining houses. And that's why they are making these delays, because they don't want to pay the whole amount. And we've heard that if they can pay this 5 billion within probably 7 years, the mining companies will need to top up another money so that they can make sure that each and everyone who is eligible to be paid gets the money. But unfortunately now it is a different story, and what is happening is that they are closing down all the table offices.
Yeah, it does sound like there's something nefarious going on. I just want you to weigh in on the actual miners. You just said to me that people are running out of time, people are losing hope. Let's speak about what you see on the ground. When you speak to mine workers who are becoming frustrated, who are waiting, what is the impact of the delays on their lives, on their families, on just on a day-to-day, in managing the lung diseases that we've spoken about, stemming from toiling and working the soil in this country?
It is very frustrating, even to myself, as if I'm waiting for this compensation. Each and every day we receive calls from these ex-mine workers. It's either there was a lack of communication between the trust and the potential claim or the claimant. It's either the widow has waited for Home Affairs to give her the unabridged certificate, which is not even there. It is a lot of issues around. Kids are not going to school. These living ex-mine workers are dying each and every day. For instance, one particular ex-mine worker in Pedi, he died while waiting for CMSO Trust to take his case because he did an appeal. But unfortunately, time ran out for him. He died while he was doing that appeal. So there are cases like that whereby people, even those that have received this money is not even enough. They are not even happy because you'll find out there are claimants that have met MPOD certificates that were taken by CMSO Trust to find out they only paid 70,000, whereas they were eligible to probably 100 and the second class, which is 100 and sorry, I just forgot the figures, okay. But they're supposed to be paid more money. But CMSO Trust, what they are doing each and every time there's a claimant that goes to lodge the claim, they take those claimants to do the BMEs, and the results tend to be differ. So they are paying less money. So there's a lot that is happening when it comes to these claimants on the ground, and most of them have lost some hope. Even those that have not even lost the claim are not even interested to do so. That's why you find out, like they're saying, it's difficult to find these people. Now that there are these issues at hand, a lot of ex-mine workers are not even coming forward because those that have lost the claim already are going through a lot. And CMSO Trust, unfortunately, is communicating with them through Facebook.
Through Facebook?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's constant disregard for people. The idea of justice, you said to me that even those who've gotten money, they're unnecessarily satisfied. So that for me suggests that even the financial compensation wasn't sufficient in terms of what is just and what the mining industry is left behind. Do some of these miners talk to you about what they would want to see happening? What does justice look like beyond the money?
For them, justice, when it comes to the issue of money and their health, those are two different things. But they have tried to accept the situation like we are sick because we have worked for these gold mining companies. But now, for them, at least if they can be compensated fairly, at least that would make them happy. But unfortunately, it is not the case. It's either they are paid less or they are rejected. So there is no amount of money that can give them their lives back. But they'll really appreciate if the CMSO Trust can do right, or even these mining companies can just pay what is due to them. Then I'm sure most of them, they can be able to build houses, leave something for their children, or even die happily. To say, I've worked for South Africa. Yes, I am sick. I left the gold mining industry while I was sick, or I started getting sick at home, but at least I have done something for my family.
What can government do? Earlier I asked you about the civil society that's trying to assist, but in terms of government, with a situation like this, is there any room from where you stand where government should be stepping in to assist?
What we need from government is to step in and make sure that they follow each and everything that is happening with this CMSO Trust. For instance, when you're talking about CMSO and the MPOD, which is MPOD, we're talking about Department of Health. If Department of Health can just step in to say, okay, yes, we have agreed that our doctors are the same doctors that you are using CMSO Trust, then those claimants that have already been certified MPOD certificate, more especially second degree MPOD certificates, they can just be paid as in yesterday. There is no need for them to be taken to do the medical benefit examination, which is something that is also working at their disadvantage for these ex-mine workers, because you'll find out a particular claimant having the MPOD certificate with second degree is entitled to 250,000. But now, once that same claimant is taken by CMSO Trust to do the medical benefit examination, a lot of those claimants have been found class 1, which means they are supposed to get the 74,000 that I was talking about, which means it's not like they need to be paid 250,000. So if Department of Health, for starters, can intervene and make sure that CMSO Trust is doing exactly what they're supposed to do, I'm sure there can be a lot of difference. And make sure that they also, MPOD unlocks some of the certificates that were left by these ex-mine workers, because most of them, they went home without the the certificate, because like, okay, no, just go home, then the rest of your medical certificates will follow. And TEPO offices, sometimes it's very difficult for them to unlock those certificates. So if we can make sure that health departments, all these health departments, they just submit all the MBOT certificates, the second degree MBOT certificate, to say, pay these people as in yesterday. Then CMSO Trust can pay more than the 22,000 that they have paid already.
But the ultimate thing is that Tshiamiso Trust needs somebody to intervene in order to do its job and fulfill its obligation. In terms of communication, if people want to reach out to you or to try to reach the miners to assist, where do they go? What are the avenues where they can try to get involved?
In terms of communication, we are scattered in different regions, but I do have my number. I'm not sure if I can just say it now.
That's perfectly fine. Okay. You can go ahead.
It's 073 3911 431 073 3911 431. Also, my colleague Catherine 083 299 3009. At least I'm not going to give all of those numbers, but at least two of us, we can be able to assist the people as we've been doing so.
All right, thank you so much. That's Ziyanda Manjati, who's from the Justice for Ministers. She's the Eastern Cape chapter leader, speaking there about this fight to try and get compensation for the miners who've toiled this country's earth beneath, really. Justice for miners, yes, who've toiled the ground and have attempted to get their money's worth from the diseases that they've gained from there, and they're not getting it. So the number is 073 3911 431 if you are looking to assist or to get involved or to get more on that story. That's Justice for Miners. I mean, one of the things that stands out for me when you look at the plight, right, the experiences of the miners, has to be that they were so disadvantaged, these black miners specifically, that they were often tested in mine hospitals that didn't keep proper files, and many of the hospitals had closed, so the records themselves were lost, and that's part of the problem. And I think she speaks about that, the assessments that also have to be done in all of that, the unfair system that they had to function within, with medical records that also didn't favor them and didn't capture truly what they were suffering from. I think it's heartbreaking hearing words like time is running out, right? These people are waiting. Tshiamiso Trust is not doing what it's meant to do, that the task might be bigger, but it's also refusing to allow civil society to enter the fray and to assist where help needs to be sought. Thank you so much for that input. Very worrying story. It is now 11 o'clock. Here is your latest of the